I feel like it was a whole other lifetime ago when I was talking about tonight, Christmas. Merry Christmas, by the way, everybody. But that this game against the LA Lakers was going to be a genuine litmus test for whether or not the Golden State Warriors, as presently constructed, can be a legitimate title contender. My ass a month. That was like, I swear that feels like another lifetime ago. That was another world we were living on. This Golden State Warriors team has problems. They better make a trade soon if they want to take this season seriously. If they want to show Stephen Curry the respect he deserves, he needs help. There is a reason why you have not heard Stephen Curry slander on this program. He is still him. The rest of his team, not so much. Steve Kerr continues playing the Hobbits. The Golden State Warriors continue thinking diminutive lineups can magically win in the game of basketball where size is insanely important. And the Golden State Warriors get crushed, not literally, but I think spiritually. I prefer losing games by a lot instead of having my hopes riding an emotional roller coaster that dips with no time left. Austin Reaves hits a game winner. Andrew Wiggins' defense was culpable there. Stephen Curry tied the game with 5 seconds and change left on a crazy deep three-pointer. Moments earlier, his three tied the game. Moments earlier, his three brought the Warriors within 3. They almost had it, but almost is not good enough. And let's break down what sounds like a broken record. They were close. They just needed a few changes. But yeah, let's get into it. Merry Christmas, everybody. And welcome to the program. It's the Golden Days.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. It was a pretty crazy night.
Woo! Let's go! In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Come on and break me off. 'Cause I get what I want and I like what I see. If you got
Merry Christmas, everyone. Here we go. Welcome to the Golden Days. I'm your host for the evening, Cyrus Saatsaz. You can follow me on Threads and Instagram at DogWild. I'm on Twitter at Surf Journalist. The program's on all social media platforms at Golden Days Pod. Tonight's episode, before we get into the nitty-gritty of everything, brought to you by Vitamin Energy. Go healthy with your energy boosters. Use the promo code Golden Days for 20% off your order. Again, this is an energy boost akin to the Red Bulls out there, the 5-hour energies out there, except you're putting good things in your body. Again, go to vitaminenergy.com, use the promo code Golden Days at checkout for 20% off, or just go to vitaminenergy.com/Golden Days. Days spelled like dazed and confused. The legendary film. Tonight's episode also brought to you by BetOnline, who continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. That includes tonight's colossally disappointing Warriors-Lakers game. I believe the Warriors are favored courtesy of BetOnline by 4.5. So if you bet on the Lakers, bravo. If you bet on the Lakers money line, bravo. If you bet on the Lakers and tease them with other things, bravo. At the expense of the Warriors and Dub Nation's holiday spirits, you've won. Congratulations. And the rest of you can win as well. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, at checkout. That's the name of the network for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Again, the Golden State Warriors, in a game where they trailed from the second quarter on, they tied the game with seconds remaining. But Austin Reaves, unfortunately, despite great defense on LeBron James to prevent the inbounds from even getting to him, and I believe Draymond Green was responsible for that, the ball gets inbounded instead to Austin Reaves. Andrew Wiggins with the defensive assignment, and Reaves easily just drives in for a left-handed layup, and that's her game. 115-113 the final score. The Golden State Warriors dropping now to 15-14 on the year. That's right. They're just a game above 500 now. And I will say this, Max agreed. Stephen Curry gave the world a thrill tonight. He still has it. The fact that this team continues to surround him with the lack of help he needs is getting disturbing. We're going to get into a lot tonight. Some donations coming in early. Curtis Aldretti saying Stephen Curry needs to request a trade. Ooh, he's not going to do that. Thankfully, that is how good of a dude he is. He's loyal to the Bay. He's loyal to the Warriors organization. He'd rather finish a Warriors lifer. Credit to him. But I do support him kind of giving some nudges to the Warriors brass, saying, get us some goddamn help here. This is ridiculous. Bill Withers dropping $4.99, saying another amazing Kuminga performance. He's well on his way to being better than Jason Tatum. Are you being facetious saying that? Are you being legitimate, Bill? Clarify, because you did drop $4.99. If you're being facetious, dude, I don't tell you, man. Is it worth the $5 you just dropped for that? And if you're being serious, look, I will say this. The Warriors without Kuminga tonight, this would not have even been a close game. Was this one of his better nights? I don't know about that, but it wasn't as horrible as his net rating will indicate, simply because most of the minutes he had were without Stephen Curry on the floor. Kuminga did finish with a minus 17, unfortunately, in net rating, but he was also part of that fourth quarter closing lineup that brought this game back. Again, the Warriors were pretty much cooked, trailing by, I believe, at 8 or 10. Here, I'll get my play-by-play up here so I have those figures exactly. So if you're blasting Kuminga for tonight, bro, this game is not even close if he doesn't play. This team is not relevant if he doesn't play. If you want to talk about trading him, we'll do a show for that, okay? That's going to be a show coming up very soon where we're going to talk about where Kuminga could go, where the Warriors could actually get something back of value, because that's the thing I don't like about all these Kuminga mentions in terms of trades. If you're talking about Cam Johnson, if you're talking about Nikola Vucevic, you can get those dudes for free. You do not give up one of your very few valuable assets for something that you don't have to give up for in a season where the Warriors are lucky to be in a buyer's market, and so far they're not taking advantage of that. Again, going with Dennis Schroeder when you could have had Dorian Finney-Smith, when you could have had Cam Johnson for practically the same price, now you're starting to see why I wasn't exactly thrilled about that. But and $4.99 from No Name saying the defense by Wiggins at the end was so bad. What was that effort? And that right there is why, for all the people out there saying, don't trade Wiggins no matter what, why? I mean, he's having a good year, but he's not that guy. He's not good enough to be the second best player on a championship team. 2022, that postseason was incredible. But don't pretend that over the entire season, he was their best player. And this team needs scoring. Besides the fact that Wiggins lacks consistency, besides the fact that he is not that lockdown defender that can win a game for you, as evident by tonight, as evident by No Name. If you can get a Jimmy Butler for Wiggins, you do that. If you can get a Zion Williamson or Brandon Ingram for Andrew Wiggins, you do that. If anything, with Wiggins right now, his value is high. We haven't seen this possibly ever. And side note, as I say that, I don't even know if it's true. There is a very strong possibility that we, as people who watch or cover the Warriors on a consistent basis, might just think that Andrew Wiggins' value is high, but in reality, maybe other teams see him and go, I don't know if I still want that. We have no clue what his trade value is. But nonetheless, if you're going to make a move, the fact that Wiggins is making over $25 million a year is lucrative to make big deals happen when you're talking about players like Jimmy Butler, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, whose salaries are in the $35, $40, $45, $50 million a year category. You need big dollars in order to make a trade like that become reality, and Wiggins' contract is going to be that one. So for those of you that insist no matter what, don't trade Wiggins, agree to disagree. If you want improvement on this team, he's got to go. There's no question about that. Crazy Bubba Chicken dropping $1.99 saying that Stephen Curry is the only way Steve Kerr would ever be fired. Maybe. I mean, if he does say that, I'm pretty sure it would happen immediately. But I don't see Stephen Curry saying that either. I want to start this show by going through my notes. So in case anybody out there is curious, like, what do I do during a game? I'm just literally typing in my phone all day. I have this huge page of notes that I come into every show with. I mention maybe 5% of it, 10% of it. And the notes serve two purposes for me. One, I can go through them after a game and recollect everything that happened. Two, because my memory, I don't know, my memory is just not good enough to remember every single little thing from first to fourth quarter. So the notes do bring back things that I think are worthy for the show. And tonight, I'm just going to go through the whole thing because I'm just going to write down every single little thing that I thought stuck out. And there were quite a few of them. I'll put the link up to see if anyone wants to jump on. Alan Wiley in the chat saying, what are you talking about? Wiggins played better than Kuminga tonight. No doubt about that. But again, he makes close to $30 million a year. If you want to make a trade happen, he's got to go. He's 30 next year. Kuminga's 22. And if you trade Kuminga, you still have to include Wiggins to get someone back. And you're not going to give up both of them. This is not necessarily an indictment on Wiggins. It's just that Jimmy Butler is better. Zion Williamson gives you a lot more hope and possibility. And Wiggins is replaceable on this team with Kuminga, with Moody. So it's a logic thing. It's a practicality thing where in terms of trades, if you don't trade them, you're not getting the money to make a big deal. AB dropping Kuminga minus 17 was the killer. Strongly agree to disagree. 2 games ago, Moses Moody was a plus 16. No one was saying he was the reason they won either. Do not rely solely on net rating to determine a player's value in one game. Massive flaw in your own judgment if you're doing that. Again, Kuminga, the reason why that minus 17 happened was because he was when his minutes came in. Jonathan Kuminga, I guess we'll start there with him because a couple people in the chat apparently think tonight's loss. And again, if you do believe that, there's only one message to send to you, which is ignorant. Incredibly. Again, because none of you are going to sit here and say Moses Moody is why the Warriors beat Minnesota 2 games ago when he was a plus 16, okay? It's an anomaly. Kuminga was out there with the worst lineups imaginable for the majority of the game. To give you some perspective, all right, I'll give you a net rating for the fourth quarter. I haven't even looked at this yet, and I wanted to pull the fourth quarter stat up because Stephen Curry was out of his mind in that fourth quarter, and I wanted to look at the fourth quarter stats anyways, just for that note. But I also want to look at it to see if Kuminga, given his net rating, if people want to focus on that tremendously, what it was in the fourth quarter. You know what Kuminga's net rating was in the fourth quarter when he was actually playing with other good players? Plus 7. Led the team in the fourth quarter when it matters most. And Stephen Curry, by the way, and I'm going to give him some love in just a second here because I'm looking at his fourth quarter numbers and my mind is just blown. But anyways, it's okay. Look, Rafa is saying that the chat's turned on Kuminga. Here, I'll put the link right now in case anyone wants to jump in and actually vocalize and communicate interpersonally, which is the way discourse is used effectively, where you come to logical conclusions, where you come to answers for some of life's more difficult questions. That includes sports. It's all about interpersonal communication. It's all about talking it out in an extensive manner. So if you ignorantly believe that this game was lost because of Jonathan Kuminga, A, you're out of your mind, and B, come on the show so I can expose.
It's ignorant. You're being ignorant.
Absolutely. I hope if you really believe that the reason why this game was Kuminga's fault was because of the net rating, you better come out here and also say that Moses Moody was single-handedly the biggest reason why the Warriors won 2 nights ago when Moody was a plus 16, okay? Do not look at net rating for one game. His net rating in the first half was awful, but again, he was surrounded by a lot of awful players. If you want to know if you want just a simple answer for why the Warriors lost this game tonight, okay? And we'll go through a lot of details. I'm going to go through all my notes. You could start with the fact that when we look at the minute distribution for this game tonight, Steve Kerr thought it was wise to play Brandon Pajemski 24 minutes and 9 seconds. On the same note, he decided to DNP Kyle Anderson. The Lakers are one of the biggest teams in the NBA. You'd think his 6'9" height, his extensive wingspan at, what is it, like 7'4", 7'5", something like that. You would think they could use that on a night like this. Never mind the fact that he can play the point, that he can defend pretty much anybody, that he's a clutch player, he's got a high basketball IQ. But no, Kyle Anderson gets DNP'd. And yes, I know he was listed on the injury report as ill, but he was also available to play. DNP'd. Side note, Quentin Post was in uniform and available to play for the Warriors tonight, just in case you weren't familiar with that. Dre, I'm going to get to you in just 1 second, I promise you that. But Kyle Anderson getting a DNP. Moses Moody, who just 2 games ago had that plus 16, a DNP. Make that make sense. Moses Moody has a 7'2" wingspan. You don't think that helps defensively? Moses Moody can shoot the 3. You don't think that would have helped offensively? This is the Warriors' problem. I've come to a fairly conclusive answer in terms of what the Warriors' issue is. Besides the fact that they love going with this hop and ball crap, which is costing them game after game, because when you have Brandon Podziemski out there, when you have these 3-guard lineups with Steph, Schroeder, GP2, Buddy Hield, there is no way you can defend the 3-point line efficiently when you are that much smaller than the opposition. Dalton Knecht, 6'6", Austin Reeves, 6'6", Rui Hachimura, who had a season-high 5 3-point attempts, 5 of 7 from deep, and that dude is what, 6'8", 6'9"? How the hell is Dennis Schroeder at 6'1"? How the hell is Stephen Curry at 6'3"? Brandon Podziemski, who's listed as 6'4", but he's not exactly known for his hops. How are these guys going to easily, effectively, efficiently defend the perimeter when you're smaller? It makes it so much easier for the opposition to put up shots without an obstacle, without anything impeding it. It's a joke. And then on top of that, I don't know if you folks were paying attention to LeBron James tonight. I was, like a lot of things. LeBron James looked comfortable. He looked happy. I hated that. And you want to know why he looked stress-free this whole night? Because he looked at the opposition and he thought to himself, I'm Shaquille O'Neal out here tonight. I'm huge against these minuscule individuals that have no chance in hell of stopping me. And if you're going to point a finger for why, besides the fact that the Warriors are a band of hobbits, who the hell is helping Stephen Curry scoring-wise? Like, I was just literally looking at the roster tonight. Like, I'm looking at the starting 5, for example, right? The Warriors had a starting 5 tonight of Wiggins, Dre, Trace Jackson-Davis, Dennis Schroeder, and Stephen Curry. Outside of Stephen Curry, none of those other 4 players are known as being scorers. Wiggins is the closest thing to it when he was in Minnesota. He was putting up over 20 points a game. He's not going to do that for the Warriors unless you play him as a guard, which, again, we saw the first 3 games of the season, never saw it again. And Draymond Green, not a scorer. Trace Jackson-Davis, not a scorer. Dennis Schroeder, not a scorer. He was having a career high this year with 18 points a game. That's a career high for a guy in his 30s, and he was playing 36 minutes a night doing it on a Brooklyn Nets team playing in the East. Steph has no help. And then you look at the bench. Buddy Hield, there's one, but you got to hope he's consistent, right? You got to hope he's on it, because if he's playing like tonight, where he's 1 for 5 from 3, that's another player who's not helping. Kevon Looney, not a scorer. GP2, not a scorer. Brandon Podziemski, he has to be a scorer if he's going to fit. Not a scorer. Brandon Podziemski tonight, 6 points. He thankfully was hitting his 3-point shot. He was 2 of 3 from that department. Thank the almighty basketball gods, because if he's not hitting those threes, he brings virtually no value to this team, yet Steve Kerr thinks he's worth 24 minutes a game. Brandon Podziemski in this same night that he went 2 for 3 from deep, also airballed a floater. 6 points. How is that helping Steph? But you got buffoons in the chat who want to point a finger at Jonathan Kuminga, one of the only guys doing anything for this team out there on either side of the ball, like it's his fault. Like he's the problem. Again, I don't mind hearing trade suggestions for him, largely because Steve Kerr just clearly has no idea how to develop talent. Has never done it. We've never seen it. There is zero evidence supporting anyone out there who may make that claim that Steve Kerr has the ability to develop talent. No evidence of it. In over 10 plus years, you've never seen a rookie or second year player on this team make an all-star team, ever. So he can't develop talent. As a result of that, I support the idea of trading Kuminga, because keeping him under Kerr I don't see how that's productive, right? But if you're going to make that suggestion, come at me with who you're going to trade him for. Because one huge reason why I'm not clamoring for that is I'm looking at the landscape consistently. I'm looking at who else the Warriors could make trades with. And I don't see a lot of options that make me go, okay, that's an even trade. That's a trade where the Warriors are coming out of this as winners, or at the bare minimum, you're breaking even. I don't see it in terms of a trade for Jonathan Kuminga. So if you're going to bring the notion of trading Kuminga on the program, come at me with a solution, meaning who are you going to trade him for? Otherwise, you're wasting everyone's time, okay? Let's go to Dre in the chat, and then we'll continue on with some of the nuance of this game tonight, but I don't want to keep the audience waiting too long. Dre, you've been waiting. Welcome. Merry Christmas.
Hey,
Unfortunately,
Merry Christmas,
not a lot of good vibes because the Warriors lost the heartbreaker yet again this season, but how the hell are you doing, man? Is this the Dre in Saginaw, Michigan?
Yes, this is he.
Floor is yours, brother. What'd you think about tonight's game?
The most consistent thing that I'm watching is we are losing games in the last 5-6 minutes of these games. That's due to not having a second scorer.
It's fair.
Steph Curry is getting double teamed every play, every minute, every second of games. Now, the Kuminga thing that you were talking about. Okay, outside of Curry, who everybody else is question marks. So yes, me personally, yes, I would get rid of Wiggins and Kuminga for a Jimmy Butler. I will do that.
You don't have to. But here's the thing: you don't have to give up Kuminga for Butler. So why would you?
I don't know what the trade or what Miami looking for but they're saying that the Warriors, Monte Poole. This is from Monte Poole saying that the Warriors are hesitant on pulling that trigger because of Jimmy Butler's health history.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, so I would still take a chance on that due to how Kerr is playing Curry. What is his average? 25, 26 minutes a game?
Stephen Curry's minutes per game, he's up to about 31 this year right now.
Okay, and that will match with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I agree. I don't hate the idea of trading for Jimmy Butler. All I'm saying is don't include Kuminga in that deal. You don't have to. Jimmy Butler's on his way out, regardless. Like the Heat don't have a ton of leverage. If you propose a trade that includes, say, Wiggins, Looney, GP2, and you got to throw in a first-round pick, but that's all you have to do. Bobby Marks emphasized that point the other day. I wholeheartedly agree because, again, there aren't going to be a lot of teams aggressively pursuing Jimmy Butler. We hear what Butler wants, right? He's mentioned the Rockets. He's mentioned the Mavericks. He's mentioned the Suns. But none of those teams are aggressively pursuing Jimmy Butler. None of those teams have said at any point they want him. And even if they do want him, don't pretend for a moment they're willing to give up huge assets. No one is. So, I mean, because Jimmy Butler's going to be an unrestricted free agent after the season, unless he goes to one of those teams. And even then, he's going to be 36 at the start of next year. Durability is an issue with this guy. So you don't have to trade Kuminga for him. That's all I'm saying, man. So continue.
If we don't have to if we don't have to trade Kuminga to get that, then yeah. Oh man, I'm pulling that trigger.
I agree.
I'm pulling that.
There's a lot of people that don't even want to include Wiggins in that deal. And my response to that is, look at how they're doing right now, man. Look, Wiggins is having a good year. He's having a good year, but it's not good enough. Sorry, go ahead.
He's not consistent.
No. And he's not a consistent scorer.
Jimmy Butler field goal percentage right now is a 54%. So you mean to tell me we couldn't use that tonight?
This team, for anyone out there who has skepticism about the idea of trading, let's say, Wiggins, GP2, and Looney for Jimmy Butler, right?
Yeah.
I give you my word, whatever that's worth, as someone who, again, if you can pull up evidence that says this guy's missing the mark, go for it, please. I welcome that. I pride myself on being credible and hitting the mark with my analysis. I tell you this with my opinion and my conviction. If they make that deal where it's primarily those three players and let's say a first-round pick, Wiggins, GP2, Looney, you got to get a third team involved, right? But you got to get a trade a first-round pick to make this happen on top of those guys. This is a far superior team, and they're back in the conversation, man. I still would like some more size, but don't doubt the greatness of Jimmy Butler, dude. He's an all-time great.
And guess what that's going to do, Cy? That's going to free up Curry to do what he do best.
Yes, sir.
Now there is no double teams because Jimmy Butler can kill you. He can knock down the open threes, and he's a hell of He's more of a like a DeMar DeRozan player. He's more of a making more twos than threes, but he can make those threes, which is
Yeah.
going to free up Curry to do what he do.
I agree. Dre, I got a couple other people waiting, and we still got a lot to talk about.
Okay,
Any final
thank you.
thoughts, man? I'm with you.
No, that's all I had to say.
Merry Christmas, brother. Doing anything fun tonight? Are you with the family? Are you solo?
Man, the kids open up the gifts. Everything
Nice.
is great.
Nice, brother. Merry Christmas, Dre. Thanks for jumping on the program tonight, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to Curtis Aldretti. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, man? Have we met? I don't know if we met. You look familiar.
We've never really met. I've been
Okay, nice to meet you, man.
For a couple of years.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I guess what I want to say first is I agree with your assessment about us being too small, and the other teams have an easier time of shooting over us and driving into the paint and getting a bucket. And it angers me every time I watch the other team drive in at will and get buckets, sometimes even accidentally. Just throw the damn ball up and it goes in the basket. So I agree with that. As far as Jimmy Butler goes, I think he would at least provide another consistent score and relieve the pressure off Curry, like everybody's saying. But
Big time.
What's more is Curry wears towards the end of the season, even though he tries to turn it up at the end of the season. But he wears down because he's got to be the hero every single night. And I'm so tired of the whole team deferring to Curry to score. They won't even shoot the ball half the time, or they take a bad shot because they really didn't want to shoot, but they don't see another option, so they just put it up, and it's a bad shot, and they miss. Again, third quarter, what happened? We had a lull in scoring. All of a sudden, we couldn't hit a basket, right? And then we bring in Steph Curry in the fourth quarter, and he gets us back in the game. And the people who want to blame this on Jonathan Kuminga, that's just silliness, man.
It is. Look, and just to add to that, if let's say Kuminga doesn't play, let's say Kerr just DNPs him tonight, this isn't even close. Like, this is not a game. We're going to watch a blowout that's uninteresting. And welcome to the next 5, maybe 10 years of Warriors basketball if you decide to trade him for like a Cam Johnson. The Warriors will be irrelevant soon. Their best players are old and getting older. And I am not sitting here saying Kuminga's going to be the next great thing, especially now, because he doesn't have a coach who can develop him properly. And I've never said I know what he's going to be. People like bring up this clip from 2 years ago when following some huge win, I think I said something like Kuminga and Moody could be the next Tatum and Brown, and like that's some great like that. If that's your gotcha moment, yeah, nice try. But you're swinging and you're missing proudly and strongly. All I'm saying is, man, like, he is contributing, and his stat sheet tonight, just to give some people some perspective here, 27 minutes, 41 seconds, 14 points, 6 rebounds. He was 0 for 4 from deep. Thankfully, 2 of those missed threes, he immediately made up for it with defensive plays that resulted in buckets. And then he was also, from the free throw line, he was 6 of 8. I mean, he wasn't missing his free throws like he normally does. And side note, those 8 free throw attempts, no one else is getting to the line consistently like he does. That helps the defense. Every time Kuminga is going to the free throw line, the opposition cannot pressure the defense on the next possession. They have to slowly walk the ball up, and that is a win for your defense every time that happens. And the Warriors are the only players who are consistently getting to the free throw line. Kuminga, Wiggins, Steph. And tonight, Wiggins had 2 free throw attempts. Steph had 2 free throw attempts. Jonathan Kuminga with 8. The people saying that, you're out of your minds, dude. Like, if you want to, go ahead. Sorry.
He's the only way that we keep the other team honest. If it wasn't for Kuminga, with his ability to drive into the bucket, when he touches the paint, good things happen. Even the announcer said that tonight, and it's so true. But Kerr doesn't want to play him. I don't even want to go to the draft and depend on the draft, because it doesn't matter what you get out of the draft. Kerr's not going to develop him. He's not going to play him. And then we're right back where we were, and we got a young team with no experience that can't get it done. right?
Real fast. Anthony Rose in the chat is saying that because I said that the Warriors are old, but I want to add a Jimmy Butler, that I'm basically being hypocritical. Again, I'm not advocating for giving up young players in the process. Don't pretend that GP2, Wiggins, and Looney are part of some youth movement. They're all pushing 30 or they're above 30, man. You're not giving up youth to get him. You're getting talent. Are they also older? Yes. But are they better than what they have now? Yes. So, and again, Anthony, if you still don't get it, come on the show, brother. I'll explain it to you in second grade language. Continue on. Sorry.
Last thing, what that statement actually is saying is that there's an abundance of options out there. There's not a whole lot of options out there. You got to get what you can. And Butler provides scoring.
And again, I'm also not sitting here saying like Jimmy Butler is my number one target. All I'm saying is for the people that do want him, it's not a bad idea, man. Like you could do a lot worse than Jimmy Butler. I mean, there's a few potential targets out there. And again, we'll save that for another episode, man. Tonight's more about what the hell's going on. Clearly, this small ball thing, I don't know why. It's just this broken record over and over. What is going on in Steve Kerr's head where he's like, tonight it's going to work. No. Tonight it's going to work. 30 games into the season. Tonight's it. Tonight is when my small ball went. It's never going to work, man. It's basketball. I saw this clip on social media earlier tonight of Otto Porter Jr. closing out a game in the playoffs in 2022. And it showed the closing five for the Golden State Warriors where it had Steph, it had Otto Porter Jr., it had Klay Thompson, it had Draymond Green, it had Andre Iguodala. Shortest player on that team is Steph. Second shortest was what? Klay, Draymond Green. And that's the team that was winning a championship that year. I don't know why suddenly Dennis Schroeder, Brandon Pajemski, I don't know where this idea came from in Kerr's head that I need point guards. I just need an army of point guards and things will be fine. I don't get that, man. I don't know what is going on with him to think that. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No. That's perfectly fine. And what's happening is he's got all the point guards he wants, but guess what? They're not scoring.
And they're not scorers. They're not. Steph is a scoring point guard. You're right.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
We need defense. Maybe Dennis Schroeder comes around and his shot comes back to him, but to play Brandon Pajemski all those minutes, he gets into the paint, and I get nervous every time because I don't know what he's going to do. Sometimes he's got a trick shot, and he makes the bucket, and I'm happy, or he hits the three, and I'm, like, surprised. But other than that, he makes me nervous every time he's in the game. But
I agree.
That's really what I had. I appreciate it.
No, I agree. Curtis, before we let you go, man, where in the world are you, brother, on this Christmas night?
I'm in Northern California. I'm in Vacaville, California, so technically in the Bay.
You are?
I'm a longtime Warriors fan and 49ers fan, even though both teams suck this year.
Yeah, I mean, suck is a harsh word. I'm not at that point with the Niners, but they, but you're right, man. They missed the playoffs, and the Warriors, as crazy as this may sound, a lot of it has to do with just how the rest of the Western Conference is looking and the rest of the opposition. I'm not giving up hope, man. I still think you can salvage this year, but with every game that passes, they're now 29 games in, and they're only one game above 500. I did not think it would drop this low. This is not the best time. This is not the best moment for the Golden State Warriors right now. Regardless, Curtis, Solano County, brother, I got a lot of family in American Canyon that's not far from you. Any final thoughts before I want to Kai? You're up next, brother. Any final thoughts?
I'll be quick. The only way Steve Kerr is going to change his behavior is if there's a threat coming from Steph Curry. And Steph Curry, like you said, is a nice guy. He's a great person. He's never going to say anything negative. But if he is looking out for his legacy, he would say something, and that would change Joe Lacob's mind about going for it, and they need to go for it. Somebody needs to change his calculus, because if they don't, the Warriors going to end up 50-50 and end up in a play-in again and probably get beat because of the talent.
Exactly. Curtis, that's what I sadly foreshadow as well, dude. Or that's what I feel like the events are foreshadowing. You're absolutely right. They're going through this tough period. They're playing horrible basketball. They're probably going to, once this rough part of the schedule eases up, they're going to have some Eastern Conference teams rolling in. They're probably going to start winning some games again. And if they don't do anything significant, I'm totally with you. It's probably going to be another year where they barely slip into the play-in. They lose a play-in game. Fourth time in 6 years, the Warriors miss the playoffs. It's bad. It sucks. It's just frustrating, dude. I'm with you if that's what you're trying to say.
I appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you too. Merry Christmas, Curtis. Thanks for coming on, man. Nice to meet you, brother.
Yep.
Nice to meet you. Let's go, Kai, real fast in the chat. Good to see you again, Kai. I forgot where in the world are you? I think you were in Florida, correct?
Yeah, man. I'm in Florida. I'm in Naples, Florida.
How are you doing, sir? What's your reaction to tonight's frustrating 115-113 Warriors loss, thanks to a last-second Austin Reeves layup?
Man, listen. I stopped getting frustrated about these losses.
What's your secret? How do you do that? Because it's on me.
Lower your expectation to the reality, and you will be less disappointed. So listen what's going on. I'm going to say a few things that a lot of people might disagree with. Even you might disagree with it.
Who cares? Say it anyways. Go ahead.
In order for Steph Curry to win another title at the Warriors, because I don't want him to go anywhere else to win it. I want him to win it at the Warriors. For Steph Curry to win another title at the Warriors, he has to get rid of two people that he probably won't get rid of. He has to get rid of Steve Kerr, and he has to get rid of Draymond Green.
Ooh. Okay. Continue on the Draymond Green point of it. That's something unique.
I'm gonna tell you why he has to get rid of Draymond Green. Draymond, he's the one that is blocking a lot of other play. For example, I heard people mention Zion, and I know that Zion is kind of up and down. He's injured a lot or whatever. Let's say we could magically fix Zion Wilkinson and have him ready for a playoff run. Zion and Draymond can't fit together.
How come?
Because they don't want Draymond to play the 5. Draymond has to play the 4.
Zion could play the 5 though.
Zion can't play 5. Zion is a 4. Just like Draymond is really a 4 who plays small ball 5. So Zion is a 4. It's the same thing with Kuminga. Draymond is the one that is halting the growth of Kuminga. And Draymond knows it. That's why Draymond has even said, I will come off the bench so this kid can go. Because Draymond knows that he's the one halting Kuminga. And he knows that Steve Kerr is so loyal to his veterans that Steve Kerr is never going to put Draymond on the bench so that Kuminga can start. That's the problem Kuminga is having, Kuminga is our best young player by far. He's the best young player we've had since freaking Draymond. He's the best young player we've had since Draymond because Jordan Poole became good. Jordan Poole didn't start out being good. All right. But the problem that Kuminga is having is that right now at 22 years old, Wiggins is a better 3 than Kuminga because Wiggins plays the point of attack better and he's a better shooter. So Wiggins is a better 3 than Kuminga and Draymond is a better 4 than Kuminga. So that's the problem they're having with Now, do I believe that if they allow Kuminga to play the 3 for a year, he will become better than Wiggins? Yes. Do I believe that if they allow Kuminga to play the 4 for a year, he will become better than Draymond? Yes. But Steve Kerr is never going to do that. The kid is always going to be hard, stuck in. Maybe if there was a position called the 3.5, Kuminga would be the 3.5, and you would.
But just remember, these positions exist solely for communication purposes, right? Like they're social constructs, just to simplify the understanding of the game. Like they don't mean a thing in reality.
In reality, I get your point. So, for the team, for Steph to win another title, he certainly has to get rid of Steve Kerr. That's for sure. He has to get rid of Steve Kerr, and believe me, Draymond has shown enough negative signs to let you know that Draymond has already robbed us of a title or two.
But again, Kai, and my only pushback to that is they don't win any championships without him. I agree that he also...
No, they've already won their championships. I know that none of the 4 that they've won, they would have won without him. But they will never win another one with him.
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to... argue with you on this because you might be right. I don't have as strong. I don't have strong conviction in terms of like Draymond Green has to stay. I mean, I value him. I treasure him. I think he does more good than harm on this team. He did get, side note, his 7th technical foul tonight, which ties Anthony Edwards and Dylan Brooks for the NBA lead. All 3 players now have 7 technicals on the year. But yeah, look, you might be right. You might be right. I have thought of that as well.
Listen to this other thing. To get Jimmy Butler, and I'm not, just like you are not over the top about Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler wouldn't be the worst guy to get. But to get Jimmy Butler, we would have to trade, for salary purposes, we would have to trade either Wiggins or Draymond.
Yeah, you're right.
We have to
So
trade
you're basically saying Wiggins has more value to you than Draymond?
Right now, yes, because I would just slide Wiggins to the 2.
Yeah.
With Jimmy Butler at the 3, with Kuminga at the 4, and whether we use Trace at the 5 or we try to flip out somebody else and go get a Miles Turner or a somebody at that 5 position. I like Jakob Poeltl. He's the one that I really like at that 5 position.
Kai, what are you doing for Christmas, man? It's Christmas night. Unfortunately, Dub Nation was not delivered a win. How was your evening besides the game? I'm fumbling words today.
My evening was good. I enjoyed. We shot a little basketball in the hoop outside the front. Me and my children and my grandson, and it was fun. We did a little basketball stuff. I have 3 sons and a grandson, and we were out there doing our thing. You know.
Well, then you've won. That right there, Kai, is why you can not let Warriors games frustrate you, because you have really serious things that matter in life right in front of you, not basketball. But for those of us that don't have, family, the true commitments that maybe define adulthood, this is our focus.
And one last thing,
so
one
bravo.
last thing before I go. So the people that's blaming this game tonight on Kuminga, come on. Kuminga did not have a brilliant game, but he didn't have a terrible game either. We did not lose this game because of Jonathan Kuminga.
And just to add to that, Kai, I want to give some, because there's a few ignoramuses in the chat, like Ronald, for example, even though I just try to explain how little value net rating has in one game. It's part of the story. It's far from being the actual story. But yet, nonetheless, folks like Ronald ignorantly bringing up -17. Again, I didn't see you bringing up Moses Moody -16 2 games ago. And again, mention as well, Kuminga was a +7 in the fourth quarter. And this is what happened in the fourth quarter. This is why I'm not sitting here saying Kuminga had a great game. He did not. I'm also not sitting here saying he had a bad game, and I'm definitely not putting this on him. This is why I refuse to pretend that Kuminga was the problem here tonight. The Golden State Warriors, Kuminga played a lot of the second half, right? And more specifically, Kuminga's numbers in the second half total, Kuminga played 17 minutes, 47 seconds. So 2/3 of his minutes came in the second half, and that's become a bit of a trend. And I don't know if that's Steve Kerr recognizing that Kuminga just plays better in the second half in general.
He's a second half player.
He's a second half player, yeah. Sometimes...
He's a second half.
Exactly. We've covered this extensively on the show, right? That is a flaw of his. I recognize that. He sometimes needs a little while to get going for whatever reason, and that could be just his youth playing into it. Who knows? But he plays way better in the second half, so we are seeing a lot more minutes in the second half. And tonight in the second half, more specifically in that fourth quarter, Kuminga got taken out of the game hold on, I just had it right here. The Warriors were down by just 4 when Jonathan Kuminga got taken out. And I think the score was 97-93, okay? And Kuminga got taken out of the game, and the Lakers immediately go on a run. And now, here it is. Draymond Green, here it is. Okay. Draymond Green entered the game for Jonathan Kuminga at the 4:58 mark. Score was 97-93. Warriors were still in this. From the 4:58 mark, this wasn't a lot of time. From 4:58 to 3:48, a minute 10 seconds, the score suddenly became 102-94. Okay, 97-93 to 102-94. It went from a 4-point game to an 8-point game like that. And a huge reason was because Austin Rivers shot a 3-pointer that was not defended, and even if it was, he probably shot it over someone like Schroeder and had no problems doing it. Then Austin Reeves made another floater because suddenly there was no one tall and athletic out there who was an impediment defensively for him. So Kuminga had to be brought back in, and kudos to Steve Kerr for recognizing this. There's a lot of games where he would not bring him back in right away and just swallow that loss. And he comes back into the 3:48 mark for Trace Jackson Davis, and from 3:48 to the 0 mark, you saw a Warriors team that was playing Steph, Draymond, Wiggins, and Kuminga together. And Schroeder was the fifth guy in this case. Again, that's the piece that has not been fully solidified, is who that fifth guy is. But you bring him back into the 348 mark, and that's a huge reason why Kuminga ended up being a +7 in net rating in the fourth quarter, because he was delivering in that fourth quarter. And the point is, they lose this game ultimately by 2, but that's why. Like, that little stretch right there, that minute 10 was all I needed to see to realize, okay, Kuminga's not having a great game. He's 0-4 from deep. Did make 40% of his field goals, which is good, not great. It's not great, but it's not horrible either. And he made 6 of 8 from the free throw line, which for him, Jesus Christ, man, you're going to take that as a win, dude.
That's 75%. That's okay.
It's 75. It's passable for him. It's good enough
For a developing player. That's okay.
And yeah, and
okay.
exactly. And so the point is, man, if you're trying to point the finger at Kuminga, like Ronald with your -17, JT, who I am reading everything in the chat, you're blasting him liberally, and again, I'm just gonna bust out the same drop that I played a moment ago. If you really think the issue is Jonathan Kuminga,
Ignorant. You're being ignorant.
absolutely, like it's
Ignorant.
not the night for that. This is like I am not gonna. I will never shy away if the problem is in fact Kuminga. I have no loyalty to him. I don't know him personally. I just look at this Warriors roster and I constantly think to myself, he's one of your best players, but he's not getting the most minutes. What the hell is going on here? He's also, important thing to remember, he's also a lottery pick, a prized lottery pick, who the Warriors are just wasting away. They blew it with Wiseman. Moody was a DNP tonight. He was also a lottery pick that season. And Kuminga in year 4 we're still not seeing development, yet a lot of people don't want to put it on coaching. Why not, man? Coaches have to be responsible for this. There has to be some accountability for the lack of development. That is 3 lottery players that you're just swinging and missing on, and Kerr is fully involved in these draft picks, but you're just going to absolve him? Why? Like, why are you absolving him in this? Like,
then the only player that they seemed to develop over the last 10 years, they traded him away for nothing. Jordan Poole. They traded Jordan Poole away for why? Because of Draymond. That's why I'm
telling you. And money. It was a money decision too, but yeah.
Yeah, Steph must get rid of Draymond is the reason why Jordan Poole was traded away for nothing. See, all the junk around that you're doing looking for a second scorer right now, they end up with Schroeder and this guy. Jordan Poole is that second scorer they're looking for. Jordan Poole. That's already been proven. We've won a title doing that.
Kai, I can't argue with you because, look, you might be right. And this Draymond Green is not going to be with the Warriors forever. I am always advocating for selling high instead of waiting for a veteran's value to dip. Like, so if the Warriors trade him, so be it, man.
For the money, for the salary value, let him go and work with Steph and the youngsters. With Steph and the youngsters.
Kai, Merry Christmas.
One love,
great to hear from you. Thanks for joining the program tonight.
Yeah, man. Peace and
any
love.
final thoughts?
Don't let it get to your head. Don't let it pressure you, man. Lower your expectations, right?
I love you, man. Have a great night. Merry Christmas, Kai.
Right.
You're a lucky man with your beautiful family. Enjoy your time with them. And the Natty Daddy Project, dude. What is your definition of Warriors basketball? I mean, I need specifics, dude. There's so much just generalities when it comes to sports talk, and that just provides nothing. Just bland. What does Warriors basketball mean? Are you saying he's not a good enough shooter? Okay, but then I could come back at you and say, stop playing him at the power forward position where he's routinely forced to try to score over bigger dudes. If he's playing as a small forward, he's mishandling whoever's defending him at that point. And I still don't think he's a bad shooter either. I really don't. I know he went 0 for 4 from deep tonight, but what he does in other facets more than makes up for it. And if you're trying to find problems with the Warriors, he ain't it, is what I'm trying to say. And if you want to trade him, again, I'm listening. Okay, this is not a closed-minded program. How did that get blurry over there? What's with this blurriness? Is that my camera? It's a part of the what is that? What is going on? Why is that little part right there blurry? That is I'm fascinated. Anyways, for the YouTube viewers, for the podcast listeners, you're going, what the hell is he talking about? There's like a corner of my screen. Is that like my camera? Maybe I got to clean my camera lens, but it's just like a blur there. I digress. So my point is, dude, Jonathan Kuminga is not the reason for the Warriors' problems. If they're going to trade him, tell me for who, because I'm open to listening to that. But I'm not going to just sit here and just bash a dude when the only evidence you have is because he sucks, because he doesn't play right in Steve Kerr's system. Come on, man. Give me some specifics, please. For God's sakes. Damien LaRoche in the chat going, there were way too many times where Kuminga wasn't getting the ball in the low post. I agree. I want to go through my notes real fast. And I love when What the F is Fashion bringing up Sophia Jones, man. She has been such a positive for this show. She was off this week because of the holidays. We'll have her back on Monday. She will be joining the show then. Trying to get sponsors just so, because she's not getting paid and I feel awful and she deserves it. So I'm working on getting a sponsor just for Valkyries and hopefully she will be a permanent part of this show. 49ers Minded, DM me your camera idea. I'm listening. Believe me, this show will be nothing but just improvements, building on little by little. The camera is on the agenda. Those things cost money, but I am looking into that. 49ers Minded, please do DM me what you're thinking there. Abraham DeLeon, someone who I seem to agree with like 99.9% of the time, saying Warriors basketball equals Hobbit ball, and that sadly is a huge issue right now. That guy dropping $5, thank you, saying, I know I sound like a broken record. 2 birds, 1 stone, Brandon Pajemski, and a first-round pick for Walker Kessler. Yes. I like. Borat. Did I do that okay? I'm all in. I'm in. Sure, why not? You know what? That's not going to happen because Steve Kerr will say no to that. But I am all in on that. Consider this a absolute ringing endorsement for your idea, the guy. I would love Walker Kessler for Brandon Pajemski. And here's the deal with a trade like that. You're not getting any worse by just moving on from Pajemski. So in essence, I know Pajemski could be something, and I'm not. And thankfully, if you watch this show consistently, you know that this has not been a platform where I'm bashing him. I do think he has value for this team. I have a much bigger part in my heart for draft picks than I do just random scrubs that get picked up, like for example, Ty Jerome, right? Like the dude was a 2-way player that Steve Kerr played favorites with. And I'm thinking to myself, there are better players on your team then. Why are you playing this guy? And same logic now. But I do have a little softer spot in my heart for Brandon Pajemski, given he is a draft pick, given he's much younger, given there's still potential and hope. And I don't mind him if he's playing 15 minutes a night as Steph's backup. And that's it. My issue with Brandon Pajemski is him playing alongside other point guards, expected to play the 2 when he can't defend 2s. He doesn't score like a 2. So what the hell are you doing having him out there, man? 6 points? Ain't cutting it. It ain't cutting it. Chardal. Dude, you've been a Golden Dazer for a month. Thank you. I posted the link, by the way. I saw you ask for it. Just scroll up a little bit. It is up there. I promise you that. Dr. Sean in the chat. I just saw your chat a moment ago saying no one is trading Kuminga. You never know, man. I don't know how that's going to play out. Shams Charania has reported twice that the Golden State Warriors are monitoring the relationship between Steve Kerr and Jonathan Kuminga, whatever that means. But just the fact that he reported that and emphasized that on 2 separate occasions, like months apart, is fascinating. We shall see what happens. I saw your text as well, Dr. Sean. So all good regarding Jonathan Kuminga. I don't know if there's stats yet. Or I'm sorry, not stats. I don't know if there's sound that has come in yet. I'm not going to play LeBron cuts because this is not a LeBron show. Ooh, okay. Here is Steve Kerr. Let's go to him. Because at a bare minimum, damn, does he provide great content for this show. Here is Steve Kerr talking about the second unit's struggles. Before we play the sound clip, the second unit tonight was Buddy Hield. So Steve Kerr went with the 10-man rotation. And the sad part of this is that who got excluded from that is Moses Moody and Kyle Anderson. The why of that, I have no effing clue. But especially considering that Moses Moody at least has been until this point a good 3-point shooter on the year. I know he's been struggling a little bit lately. I'm looking at his 3-point stats on the season. So he's shooting 36.2% from deep. It's good. That's good. That is good. It's not bad. You could have used that. It's a hell of a lot better than GP2's like 12% or whatever the hell he's shooting from 3. I think it's still a lot better than Brandon Pajemski's 3-point percentage. Even with his great night, he's now played 10 consecutive games where his 3-point percentage is above 40%. So thankfully that's going up, but it's still right now at 27.8%. So I wouldn't mind seeing a little more Moses Moody. I still don't understand what the hell Kyle Anderson is doing wrong to be DNP'd routinely. Does make me wonder if maybe he's going to be a part of a trade upcoming. His contract is not expiring, which is why I've been hesitant about considering him as being a trade asset. But if there's another team out there and they want him, and he does make what, $8-9 million a year, so he could be an asset where if Steve Kerr insists, I don't want to lose Kevon Looney, maybe Kyle Anderson's the guy that they trade ultimately. But the DNPs are nonsensical. Nonetheless, I bring all this up because the second unit for the Golden State Warriors, Buddy Hield 6 points, Jonathan Kuminga 14 points, Kevon Looney 0, Brandon Pajemski 6, GP2 4. Not cutting it. That's not a lot of points. The bench combined tonight, 29 points for the bench total tonight. And here is Steve Kerr talking about the second unit and what maybe they can improve. Turn up your speakers, please, because this is courtesy of 95.7 The Game, the flagship radio station of the Golden State Warriors, who I am forever thankful for posting these, even though the audio sucks. So turn up your speakers. Here is Steve Kerr.
Yeah, I mean, it's in fairness to our guys, we've been all over the map this year, rotation-wise. I've had a million different starting lineups. Guys are in and out of certain roles, rotations. I'm well aware of that, and that's hard as a player to not know, how many minutes you're going to get, what minutes you're going to get. The reality is we're searching. We've lost 11 of 14 games, and I don't feel like this is a roster where you just say, all right, here are our top 8 guys or top 9 guys. We just play those guys. Our roster is really deep, and we've got a lot of guys who can play, and every game calls for something different. That's the issue. We've got, there's certain games we need more shooting. There's certain games we need more defense, and so we've got a lot of guys who can play, but it's been difficult. To develop consistent rotations and lineup combos, and I think it has not been easy for the guys, but we'll keep plugging away.
Oh my God! Did anyone else lose their mind hearing that, like me? Yeah, no shit. People are frustrated because their minutes are inconsistent. Yeah, no shit. You haven't figured things out. That's entirely on you, coach. This is your mess. Well, it's like, oh my God, what the hell was that? The guy's literally vocalizing out loud this team's issues that he himself has created with all this jumbling. You had it dialed in at the start of the season. Why did you deviate from everything that was going so well? I like that Trayce Jackson-Davis is back in the starting lineup. That's good. The Dennis Schroeder part of this has not been good so far. And Dennis Schroeder tonight, just to give you some perspective, he hit some threes, which was good. He actually hit 50% of his threes. He was 3 of 6. The problem is he made 0 twos. He was 3 of 10 from the field total, scored 11 points in 28 minutes, 21 seconds of play, added 5 assists, but 11 points. And the part that really stuck out to me with Schroeder defensively, or I'm sorry, that's what stuck out. It was the defensive side of things, man. Like whoever he was guarding was punishing him. LeBron James, his eyes were wide open every time he saw Dennis Schroeder guarding him. Here are my notes real fast. I said I was going to do this like 30 minutes ago. Let me do this real fast now, just because my notes are all my observations from this game. So one thing I noticed right off the bat in the first quarter, Steve Kerr simplified Stephen Curry's substitution patterns. Thank goodness. We've been seeing this, you hear this phrase herky-jerky a lot in this program, and it refers primarily to Steve Kerr's rotations and how he handles his players, right? Like he treats each individual's minutes in a herky-jerky style, right? Like 1 minute you're in, 1 minute you're out, 1 minute you're playing a full quarter, 1 minute we don't see you for an entire game. It's herky-jerky. And Stephen Curry has started to become a victim of that as well. The days of him playing consistent full first and third quarters, second half of second and fourth quarters, that's done. And to a certain extent, you can understand why, because he was getting 36 minutes a night playing that rotation. Now the Warriors are trying to bring his minutes down to 30, 31, 32 at the most. So you cut out some of those full quarters, right? So instead of a whole first, a whole third, now he'll play like 8 minutes of the first. He'll play like 9-10 minutes of the third. But lately, and that's what has been happening, but lately, you're seeing Steph play like 5 minutes. Then he'll sit for 2 minutes. Then he'll come back in for 5 minutes. Then he'll sit for 4 minutes. Then he'll come back in for 2 minutes. Then he'll sit for 2 minutes. Then he'll come back in for 3 minutes. Clearly Steph himself has been losing his mind through this whole thing. Tonight it got simple. Tonight, Steph stayed in the game. We didn't see these hockey-style substitutions where Steve takes 3-4 players out and brings whole new lineups. That was abandoned tonight, and thankfully at that. So I noticed that. Buddy Hield was the first substitution for the Warriors in this game. He came in for Dennis Schroeder at approximately the 6-minute mark. But again, these mass substitutions, tonight we didn't see it. And I'm encouraged by that. That's a good thing, okay? Like, one thing Steve Kerr, I think, desperately needs to do is simplify everything. He talked about that last year. I thought that's a huge reason why Terry Stotts was brought on board, to simplify things, and we're still not seeing that. So I was grateful for that. I saw early in the game, Jonathan Kuminga, the first time he came into the game in the first quarter, was right around the 6-minute mark. It was soon after Buddy Hield came in for Dennis Schroeder. And there was a play I saw where he pulled up, he was wide open. And he should have taken either the easiest jumper imaginable, it was like 8 feet, he could have attacked, and he just sat there and hesitated. And all I thought when I saw that was, God damn it, Steve Kerr has got in his head, he's thinking. You should not be thinking out there. You should be reacting to your play. And he passed the ball instead of taking this easy shot. Dennis Schroeder takes a bad 3, bad possession. That just stuck out to me. I do think, and I wrote this down when I started to realize Moses Moody was not going to play tonight, I don't understand how he's not ahead of Brandon Podziemski in the rotation, period. Like, just because he doesn't look like a point guard and dribble the ball like a point guard, like, you're automatically behind Brandon Podziemski in the rotation, a player who is in year 2, Moody's in year 4. Make that make sense. Andrew Wiggins of the first quarter was freaking awesome. His numbers in the first quarter tonight, I mean, the Warriors were... in that first quarter, they were tied with the Lakers 23-23 after 1. Andrew Wiggins in that first quarter, hold on, give me 1 second. I have it right here. He was awesome. He played 9 minutes, 34 seconds. He was 4 of 5 from the field, 2 of 3 from deep, 10 points in that first quarter. Not as good as Stephen Curry's fourth quarter. Let me just read that to you real fast, because Stephen Curry in the fourth was insane. Stephen Curry in the fourth played 10 minutes, 6 seconds, 7 of 11 from the field, 3 of 6 from deep, 17 points, including those massively huge threes at the end of the game. One of them brought the score to within 3. The second one tied the game. And then there was Andrew Wiggins just letting Austin Rivers blow by for the easiest layup imaginable. I'm seeing a few people in the chat tonight as well who are just dumping haterade all over Jonathan Kuminga, actually having the ignorant audacity to point the finger at Kuminga like him not helping on defense was the reason for Austin Rivers getting that easy layup. There was enough time on that clock, so if Kuminga comes to help, that Austin could just kick it out. And I can't remember who Kuminga was defending, but that would have been the most wide open, easy shot imaginable. And then what? Everyone points the finger at Kuminga for leaving a guy wide open for a game-winning shot? No. That's a joke if you're going to point the finger at Kuminga, because he was not a help defender for an easy layup by Austin Reeves. Andrew Wiggins should have handled that better. He should have been able to stay in front of Austin Reeves. That was on Wiggins. That's ridiculous. But Andrew Wiggins did have a solid first quarter. He had a solid game. His stats for the night, I don't think I've said this yet. He was 8 of 19 from the field total, 3 of 7 from deep, 12 rebounds in this game, which for Wiggins is very encouraging because on the season, I just took a look the other day at Wiggins' rebounding numbers, and I was a little underwhelmed. For someone who is counted on to do a lot of things, and that includes an inside presence, he's only averaging 4.1 rebounds per game. And if he's going to be like your 4 at times, even your 3, you would think that number should go up. So it was encouraging that Wiggins tonight grabbed 12 boards in this game, 21 points, no turnovers, and a block. He just had a great night all around. Fantastic. 21 points for him. But his first quarter performance particularly stuck out. I put on my notes that Podziemski, I mentioned this earlier, that Brandon Podziemski airballed a floater. I think this was in the second quarter. Luckily, Trace Jackson-Davis grabbed the airball, put it in, and was fouled for the +1. Trayce Jackson-Davis, again, I'm really stoked that he's starting again at the center position. They need his size. They need his presence. He had a great night. In 26 minutes of play and 7 seconds, more specifically, he was 5 of 7 from the field, 9 rebounds in this game, and 11 points. He led all players in net rating with a +11. So for all you folks out there hating on Jonathan Kuminga because he had a -17 in net rating, do you think Trayce Jackson-Davis was the best player because he had a net rating of +11? Get your head out of your asses, please, okay? That's a ridiculous criticism to pretend that this was Kuminga's fault tonight. Moving on, just the rest of my notes real fast here. The Warriors did not shoot a free throw until 18 minutes into the game. They had 0 free throw attempts until the middle of the second quarter. That's unacceptable. And that's where Stephen Curry lacking help with scoring, with penetration, that comes into play. And that's one of the many reasons why I get the Kuminga free throw percentage is bad this year. I get it. But just the fact that he leads the team in free throw attempts still says something. I'd rather a player gets fouled and miss 2 free throws than a player misses a field goal attempt. For the simple reason that, again, if you're going to the free throw line, your defense is set the following possession. You miss a field goal attempt, anything could happen. In today's NBA, everyone's pushing the ball, at least most teams, and it's far more detrimental for your defense. So I thought it was a bummer that the Warriors did not have a single free throw attempt. You could point the finger partly to the officiating for that. Who knows? I put in my notes that Max Christie, the Lakers youngster who started tonight, bullying Dennis Schroeder for an easy bucket. I forgot what part of the game this was. I didn't mark the time of that. But it stuck out to me because it was a perfect example of why you don't have a 6'1 guard as your shooting guard, because most likely they're going to be defending someone far bigger. And Max Christie should not be bullying the opposing defender to get buckets. Yet that's what happens when you have a 6'1 guard as your 2. I brought up Draymond Green getting his 7th technical foul of the season. This was at the 2:39 mark remaining of the second quarter, and that 7th tee ties Anthony Edwards and Dylan Brooks for the NBA lead. All 3 players have 7 technicals. Let's see, what else did I write in my notes? The Warriors were within 3 at the half, mostly because of Steph and Wiggins. I mean, they just had fantastic nights. Here's another example, and I think I talked about this earlier, but I had this in my notes. Dalton Knecht, Austin Reeves, and Rui Hachimura. From the 3-point line tonight, Rui Hachimura, 5 of 7. Austin Reeves, 4 of 10. Dalton Knecht was only 1 of 5. So even though he finished with 13 points, a +13 net rating, 5 of 9 from the field, Dalton Knecht just 1 of 5. But my point is, players like these guys are 6'6". Okay, Rui Hachimura is like 6'8", 6'9", but Austin Reeves, Dalton Knecht, 6'6". How are 6'1 and 6'3 defenders going to stop their shot? I mean, all you can do is put your hand in their face, and that might block their vision a little bit, but these are NBA players. I mean, the size thing, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, just dump this small ball nonsense. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Why are we doing this? What else is in my notes real fast? Oh, there was a lineup at the end of the third quarter. And this is why I refuse to point a finger solely at Jonathan Kuminga, because this was the type of lineup he was surrounded with most of the night, which is why his net rating was particularly lower than everyone else's. There was a lineup that was getting their asses kicked out there at the end of the third. It was Brandon Pajemski, it was Dennis Schroeder, it was Buddy Hield. First of all, those 3 together are not defending shit. I know Schroeder's a handsy guy, he's a tenacious guy, so he'll make up for the height with some things, but still, you can't coach height, you can't teach height. If someone is 4 or 5 inches taller than you could be the best defender on the planet, they can still just put it up over you, like, no matter what you do. So those 3 out there together were with Kuminga and Trayce Jackson-Davis. They were getting slaughtered. And that's an example of lineups that I just don't understand how you justify that. I just do not get it. I mentioned before, and I'll say it again, LeBron James, I didn't see him stressed the whole night. He looked happy as a clam. And I think a huge reason for that is because he looks at the other team he's playing and thinks to himself, Is this going to be hard for me? No. Even with Anthony Davis going out in the first quarter because I believe a rolled ankle, not a problem. LeBron James looks like Shaquille O'Neal out there playing against these Golden State Warriors. That's asinine. This is the NBA, and to see this is just mind-blowing. And then I also mentioned that Rui Hachimura, his 5 threes tonight, a season high. So that's where we're at. Yada mean bringing some Christmas positivity, saying at least we don't have to worry about Corey Joseph anymore. Good call on that. The Warriors got to make a trade here. Are we done? Is there anything else? Any more chats that I have not addressed? I know that's it. Okay, we're at an hour. That's a good time to start wrapping it up. Richard Burden's asking which coaches actually develop players. That's a good question. Well, I mean, look, at a bare minimum, even though Greg Popovich is not one of my I don't revere him as much as other people do, but he figured out how to bring out the best in Kawhi Leonard. I respect him for that. It's unfortunate that he couldn't actually keep him. I mean, they lost him, and that's and you could blame Kawhi as much for that frayed relationship, even though they reportedly have mended things over the years. But at a bare minimum, you could start there. But if you look at the all-time greats, right? I mean, I think Popovich was the coach when Tim Duncan was a rookie as well. But you look at the all-time greats and just look at who was coaching them. That's how you know who's developing talent efficiently in this game. I'd have to do a little more research to give you a better answer for there. Eric Spoelstra, Touch of Madness, bringing up. Pat Riley is a great answer as well. These are some good answers there. But Raymond M. bringing up Kenny Atkinson. That's fair. I didn't see him doing much here, but all right, let's go around the NBA scoreboard. AB's asking, this is actually a good question, like who gets fired first, Steve Kerr or Dunleavy? I'm going to lean Steve Kerr, and the reason why I'll say that is because my guess is Joe Lacob will never promote his son Kirk to the GM position just because of the optics, right? That's bad PR. I mean, it's obvious there's nepotism that's rampant in professional sports, period. I mean, everywhere you look with ownership groups, they're promoting sons, they're putting them in ridiculous positions of power. It doesn't mean it's a good look. It doesn't mean it's right. So Joe Lacob, I think for optics purposes, for PR purposes, will likely continue hiring GMs. To get their perspective as well. But I think first and foremost, so that the image conveyed is not, my son is the GM because he earned it, which no one would buy. So my guess would be Steve Kerr. And Steve Kerr has also talked about how his days could be numbered depending on how much longer Stephen Curry plays. He's used a lot of verbiage indicating that his time will correlate with Stephen Curry's in terms of how much longer he's going to coach. Anyways, all right, let's go. 29. Love the sarcasm. Let's read some scores around the association to wrap things up. Oh, I got to do one more thing first. I can't believe I've gone this far in the show without bringing up Stephen Curry and the incredible night that he had. He is our Vitamin Energy player of the game. Vitamin Energy, literally our new sponsor of the program. Go to vitaminenergy.com and enter the promo code Golden Days spelled like Dazed and Confused, for 20% off your order. Vitamin Energy, it tastes good. It gives you like a very comparable energy boost to Red Bull or 5 Hour, but it's good for you. That's insane. So either, again, use the promo code Golden Days at checkout or go to vitaminenergy.com/Golden Days for your 20% discount. And today's Vitamin Energy player of the game, of course, is Stephen Curry. He played 35 minutes, 37 seconds. He was 14 of 24 from the field, 8 of 15 from deep, had one trip to the free throw line, made both of his free throws, 6 assists in this game. Did have 4 turnovers, but you live with that. 38 points in the loss for Stephen Curry. Get this man some help, please, while we still have him at or near the peak of his powers. And again, tonight's Vitamin Energy player of the game, Stephen Curry. Fantastic effort, unfortunately, and a loss. So there you go. Let's go around the association to wrap things up. Yeah, Young West 79. Hurry up and make a blockbuster trade, please. Agreed. Yeah, Ramar Hernandez, I brought this up in the earlier in the show as well, how I'm starting to think maybe Kyle Anderson is going to be a trade piece because the DNPs make no damn sense. Like, why did you sign this guy? What the hell was the point of that? Like, I mean, he's actually serviceable. He's one of your rare players who's consistently good, and he gets DNP'd. Why? It makes just no sense. Zenith saying no height, no rim protection, no wins. Agreed. Let's go around the NBA. Not a lot of games, but it is Christmas, the unofficial start of the season. And for those advocating that the NBA should reduce the number of games from 82 to 70, I've seen 66. Wholeheartedly agree with you. It's never going to happen because you start reducing games, and each one of those games represents a certain dollar amount that teams are making. So what you're asking each of these teams to do is cut out money short term for growth long term. And you'll rarely, if ever, see business leaders and that is who is owning these teams adhere to a philosophy like that. So while a reduction in games would be fantastic for the NBA, it's never going to happen. Nonetheless, the point is, so Christmas Day is normally looked at as the unofficial start of the season, and there were a lot of great games tonight in the association. Still one going on right now, actually. Suns and Nuggets, we'll get to that in a second. The Boston Celtics lost to the Philadelphia 76ers tonight, 118-114. Tyrese Maxey, 33 points, 12 assists, 3 steals, a hell of a player in the win. Jason Tatum, 32 points, 15 rebounds in the loss. The Celtics are dealing with some injuries. I believe Kristaps Porzingis got hurt, someone else as well. But so the Sixers improved to 11-17 on the season. The Celtics dropped to 22-8. The Minnesota Timberwolves held on to defeat the Dallas Mavericks in a game where they had a large lead for most of it before the Mavericks made a run late. But Minnesota hangs on 105-99. Julius Randle, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists in the win. Kyrie Irving, 39 points in the loss. Minnesota improves to 15-14. Same record as the Golden State Warriors. That's crazy. The Dallas Mavericks dropped to 19-11. The San Antonio Spurs played the Knicks to start the day, and the Knicks came away victorious, 117-114 winners. New York improves to 20-10. The Spurs dropped to 15-15, a half game behind the Warriors. Victor Wembanyama in the loss, 42 points, 18 rebounds, 4 blocks. Mikal Bridges, 41 points in the win for the New York Knicks. And a final score, not a final score, I'm sorry, but one that will be final if you're watching or listening to this, most likely. The Phoenix Suns currently leading by just 2 points at home against the Denver Nuggets, 70-68 in a game that does bear a lot of relevancy for the Golden State Warriors in terms of standings because the Suns are currently 14-14. If they win, they are tied with the Warriors. If they lose, they are a game back. The Denver Nuggets currently are 16-11, and that leads to where the Warriors are now in the standings after this loss. Golden State drops to 15-14, 8th in the Western Conference. They are now 8.5 games behind the OKC Thunder. That's insane, man. They were at one point atop the West. They were at one point literally half game, one whole game behind the Thunder. They were in the running. And this slide, 11 losses in 14 games, capitulating with, again, a 15-14 record, 8th in the West. It's OKC up top, and they're pulling away. I do not be surprised if they comfortably win the Western Conference this season. The Houston Rockets 2nd, Memphis 3rd, Dallas 4th, Denver 5th. The LA Lakers with this win tonight improved to 17-13. They're 6th. Those are your top 6 teams who would make the playoffs as the season ended today. Number 7, the LA Clippers, who have the same record as the Lakers. They're both 17-13. And then the Warriors are a game and a half behind both the LA teams at 15-14. They're tied with Minnesota. And then the San Antonio Spurs will be your last play-in team if the season ended today, which is really crazy because that means if the season ended today, the Phoenix Suns would not even make the play-in. That's how stacked the West is. Oh, man, this is crazy. The Warriors need to do something, and they need to do something really, really fast before the season completely gets away from them. See if there's any sound that has come down that I could play right now before we wrap it up. Okay, here's one more cut of Steve Kerr Someone asked him about the vibe of the team, whether there's confidence still existing in this locker room, or if the team is starting to lose some of the faith they have in this team and their coach and the organization. Let's hear from Steve Kerr. Again, this is courtesy of 95.7 The Game. Turn your volume up, please, to hear this. And here's Steve Kerr talking about the confidence of the Golden State Warriors.
He's disappointed. We've lost some confidence. You can feel it. We had great vibe early in the season, and we're going through it right now. But I love our guys, high character guys. They care about the game. They care about each other. I believe in them. I believe we're going to get this thing turned around. So we this is all part of it. It's part of the season, part of life. You hit these ebbs, and you feel like everything's tough, everything's difficult, and you got to feel the flow. You got to feel the confidence, and so we'll keep plugging away. We'll get there.
It's incredible hearing this guy justify a problem of his own making. Yeah, that's a part of it because of you. This is life because of you. Like, it's entirely of your own making, Steve. This entire team, the players on it, the system they run, and that's the one thing that he does good. The players on the court, the most powerful gatekeeping power, so to be redundant there, that a head coach in any professional sport, especially the NBA, has, is deciding which 5 players out of your 14 are going to be on the court. And those 5 are routinely the wrong 5. That is entirely on Steve Kerr. And on top of that, he's involved with front office decisions. Like, there's no other head coach who would, or no other GM, I'm sorry, who would ever go into their job thinking, I want a 6'1" player as my shooting guard. I want a lineup where the average height is 6'5", the shortest in the NBA. Dude, this is a Steve Kerr product. And to hear him now just pretend like this is normal? No. This is of your own doing, man. Get out of your own way. That is what Steve Kerr was good at for the 4 championships. Not making himself part of it. He stayed the F out of the way. He's like an NBA official now. You don't want to know about them. Now he's everything. His fingerprints are all over the damn place. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Yadamin, you'll be the final chat for the night. Shardol, I apologize for not posting the link again, but we got to go. We're at the hour 20 mark. It's Christmas. So Yadamin, the Clippers are the next Warriors opponent. Is today Wednesday? Is that right? It's Christmas Day. Did that fall on a Wednesday? It did. So Friday night, the Warriors will play the LA Clippers. That is next up on the schedule. Then the Suns. Then the Cavs. Then a must-win game against the Philadelphia 76ers. And then, as Yadamin types it, the Frizzlies. I love it. All right, that's it, folks. Merry Christmas. I really wish we were in a celebratory mood tonight. But, Steve Kerr happens. What are you going to do? Thank you again, everyone. I really do mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thanks for everyone who jumped on today. And we'll be back at this soon. Thanks. I really mean that. And yeah. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.